Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from Velocity 2015 in Santa Clara. I'm here with Ann Sung Ruckstuhl. Ann, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So you're the CMO with SOASTA.
Yes.
Yes. And we recently did some work together on our first Diversion and Inclusion Scholarship Award.
Yes.
So tell me, why is that important for SOASTA? I understand why it is important for everyone, but for SOASTA specific?
Well, let's start from the kind of the high level. First of all, diversity is good for business, period. I think you can read, there are tons of research out there. The one that got me was more empirical, since we're a data-driven company.
Yeah.
So Credit Suisse actually did companies and look at the percentage of their senior managers who are women, and they put them into buckets and correlated their stock performance against S&P 500 and against their peers. You can see a huge difference in terms of performance from 20% to 30% to 35%. So we have some data-driven research that tells you it's good for business, right? But
Excellent.
From a practical perspective, I'm in high tech. All of us are in high tech. And we know this whole consumerization of IT is happening, which means that technology is getting demystified. And the consumers or the users of the things that we produce are everyday people. It no longer takes 10 PhD to learn how to use something, right? So that means your users are, it could be middle class, it could be someone who is a plumber, someone who is, a PhD in statistics. So when you designed your product, you are serving a very diverse group of users. So the people who design, deploy, maintain, and optimize these products should really understand your buyers, and it's embedded in your whole approach to everything on high tech. So I believe that this trend is kind of demanding the way that we think about technology differently, right? And then, not to mention, most of us are multinational. The borders,
exactly.
right, are really non-existent to some degree, short of tariffs, and that's a separate conversation. And so that yet again kind of mandates even more inclusive of customer segments that you need to appeal to. So diversity is here to stay. So more power to us who are able to capitalize on that. And frankly, a diverse workforce tends to be a more interesting and happier workforce. Just on the cuisines alone, I think will be amazing.
And do you see this as a global thing? Because are all countries and all cultures feel the same about this? Because I know, like you said, tech doesn't really have borders, but there are cultures that may have little slight borders. Is that?
So it depends on the timing of this, right? So time continuum, we get obsessed with the present time, step back and look at 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I think globalization is a force. You can artificially change that by all means, but the fact is, you can hop on the airplane and pretty much go anywhere. So in the US, I think we're the melting pot, so we're kind of the forerunners of this whole thing and learning how to manage, if not thrive, based on a diverse population and therefore a diverse workforce. But look at the investment from China that are coming in. Right? And same thing with the European countries. People are setting up shops and plants all over the place. And so they may be a laggard, but eventually, again, the time continuum, it catches up to everybody. So I think it's a consistent global challenge, but some countries, based on the demographics makeup, may feel slightly different immediacy to it than the others.
Yeah, I've never liked this next one, but is there a glass ceiling still existing today?
I gotta say, I have mixed feeling about that one. I want to say yes, but I believe there are some real ones because I read about them, I hear about them, and I think there are a lot of perceived ones. The only thing I can say is I think there is, because all those chatters out there in the market, you can read everything and get a sense that yes, there are real biases out there. But in my personal life, and that's the one that I can speak to more authoritatively, I have not personally, experienced any of that. I truly believe that if you are highly confident at what you do, and you're passionate about your cause, and you're a good communicator, if you have that magic combination, which is really a manifestation where we work, chances are I don't think you will encounter that much of a bias. At least in my career, I've been really blessed. I never had anybody even gave me that perceived sense of bias and say, well, because you're a woman, on top of it, you're a minority woman, therefore I can't. Hasn't been an issue for me. So that's all I can say personally, but I do think there are some challenges systematically.
And
yes.
yeah, exactly. Like if you look at the United States, right, we have our first woman president candidate, or second maybe, because Hillary ran.
Third one, I think.
Third, yeah.
Geraldine Farrar.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
But so we still have an elected one, and that conversation still exists about that happening. So I'm hoping that we see those barriers break down. So how would you say SOASTA can help break down the barriers in Silicon Valley of diversity? I mean, leading the way, is that how it happens, or?
I would say we're probably more humble than that. You know, I've been at SOASTA only for 3 weeks, and so I work for Tom Lunabos, and I gotta say, he thinks differently. The way he thinks about the workforce, the way he thinks about life, he enjoys diversity. And I think when you have that embedded in the leadership of a company, it's in the DNA of who you are, you can see it completely reflected in the workforce. So SOASTA is like such an amazing mix, not just a minority thing. It's gray hair, the young kids, different colors, different background, and you know, we sit at the hippest part of Castro Street on top of all the happy hours, even though we don't always go to happy hours. But you know, it's just a very vibrant environment. It's a place that draws you in and you enjoy it. And I think so when O'Reilly came to us and go, hey, you know, we're thinking about starting a scholarship program for diversity and for underrepresented minority, we're going, absolutely, this is a great thing, because you know, the old Chinese saying goes, you don't give somebody a fish to help them, you teach them how to fish, right? So I truly believe in empowerment, but somebody has to want to take that baton and run with it, right? So I think this is a wonderful setup. And in the Valley, I think the first thing is, you know, take a look at your workforce. It's common. It's a common thing. It's a very practical thing. If you are like completely skewed on one gender or one color, you know, not that something is wrong, but I think, you know, cognitively, you kind of know that, okay, this is not quite reflective, right? So I think Google had 83% male, Facebook is 63%. And that's just one statistic. That shouldn't be the only one. When you have a healthy, diverse workforce, different perspective, different background, what you create together, I believe, is a consumable that appeal to a wide range of people. So you probably don't want to be skewed, because it really is bad for your design and it's bad for your business. So I think acknowledging that there is an imbalance is step number one, and then do something about it, which is, you know, be very thoughtful when you recruit.
Yes,
seeking out perspectives, right?
Even the interview process, have a diverse set of people interviewing people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe go to places that you normally don't recruit, possibly. But I think it's a thoughtful process you have to put into it. At the end of the day, we're a meritocracy. So competency always has to be there first. But you can have that, and I believe a wonderfully happy, diverse workforce that may, you know, place a wonderful place to work at and produce great technology as well.
Well, Anne, we're certainly pleased that you guys are our first diversity and inclusion sponsor. So we really appreciate that, and thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. Thanks,
Thank you.
Mike.